Hello and welcome to Planet Pulse on Firstpost. The Earth is constantly changing, and in recent years, for the worse. Summers are getting hotter and winters harsher. Rising sea levels, floods, drought, wildfires and torrential rain have been disrupting lives across continents. The fight against climate change is needed now more than ever. On this show, we bring you all the top stories on the climate crisis, its causes, its brutal effects, and the warriors helping fight the menace. Our first story is from South Asia, where Cyclone Ditwah has once again forced us to confront a critical question. Are extreme weather events becoming our new normal? And if so, how prepared are we? Late November 2025 saw Cyclone Ditwah tear through Sri Lanka and head towards southern India, bringing catastrophic rains, floods and destruction. The death toll across the region has climbed into hundreds, with thousands missing and millions displaced. But Ditwah isn't an isolated storm. It is part of a terrifying pattern of violent cyclones sweeping across South and Southeast Asia. Here's our report.
Extreme weather events have become more common than ever in the Indian Ocean. In the latest, and after wreaking havoc across Sri Lanka, Cyclone Ditwah caused mayhem in southern India, triggering intense rainfall and widespread alerts across Tamil Nadu and Puducherry. Cyclone Ditwah has already left a devastating impact in Sri Lanka, with at least 410 people dead and nearly 200,000 people being forced into temporary shelters as rivers burst their banks and entire towns were submerged. Sri Lankan President Anura Kumara Dissanayaka said the storm had triggered the largest and most challenging natural disaster in the country's history.
As a country, we are facing the largest and most challenging natural disaster in our history. We also recognize that what we are undertaking is the most difficult rescue operation in our nation's history. This is the first time the entire country has been struck by such a disaster.
During the same window, and in one of the most unusual weather developments the Indian Ocean region has seen in more than a century, last month, a cyclone formed over the Strait of Malacca, a stretch of water that is considered almost cyclone-proof. Cyclone Senyar emerged in a basin where storms simply do not form. In fact, meteorologists note that the last time a cyclone was recorded here was back in the 1880s. Senyar triggered severe floods and landslides across Indonesia, Malaysia, and Thailand, which is a rare tropical storm genesis near equatorial latitudes that is now more frequent thanks to warmer and moister oceans.
Since last night, we've evacuated tens of people, about 50 people in a village nearby. We've also evacuated people who were stuck in the floods, tens of them, women, babies, and elderly. The situation now is very difficult because the stream is rough and ground conditions are making us unable to access certain locations.
Meanwhile, on India's eastern coast, the rhythm of urban flooding grows ever more familiar every year. In 2023, Cyclone Michang battered Chennai and surrounding districts with relentless rainfall, with more than 40 centimeters over 48 hours, inundating streets, submerging homes, disrupting transport, and damaging infrastructure. The Indian Air Force had to deploy helicopters to drop relief materials directly to stranded residents. Then, in December 2024, Cyclone Fengal dumped the highest rainfall in 30 years on Puducherry and Chennai, causing flooding, flight cancellations, and even electrocution deaths. Most visibly, the Chennai International Airport shut down for roughly 16 hours when 2 runways and a taxiway were inundated. These repeated disasters are not coincidence. They are symptoms of a warming planet. Studies show sea surface temperature is rising steadily, especially in the Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal. Warmer waters fuel cyclones by increasing evaporation and atmospheric moisture, giving storms more fuel. As a result, storms are intensifying more rapidly near coastlines, and rainfall during cyclones has become heavier. And for coastal cities like Chennai, where rapid urbanisation, encroachment of wetlands, inadequate drainage, and unplanned construction have long weakened natural resilience, these storms are turning into recurring disasters. So, the bigger question looms: are we, as governments, societies, and individuals, evolving fast enough to keep pace with these worsening climate threats? Because climate experts warn, storms like Ditwah and Senyar may no longer be once-in-a-decade anomalies. They may be a new and dangerous norm. Urban planners, coastal communities, and disaster management systems must brace for more powerful, wetter, and unpredictable storms. For millions living along the Bay of Bengal and the tropical belt, the answers we give now could determine their future and their survival. The warning from these cyclones is clear. Our climate is changing faster than our preparedness.
For our next story, let's shift our focus to the US. Several straits across the northeastern part of the country are bracing for a bomb cyclone. Sounds scary, right? Millions of people have been under winter weather alerts. The bomb cyclone is expected to trigger heavy snowfall, damage infrastructure, and bring travel to a standstill. So what is a bomb cyclone and why does it occur? Our next report brings you the details.
What comes to your mind when you hear the word bomb cyclone? This scary-sounding weather term is what several states across the northeastern US are bracing for right now. And what has triggered the talk of a bomb cyclone is a fast-moving winter storm. The storm has dumped several inches of snow across parts of the Midwest, where it killed one driver, caused hundreds of crashes, and slowed travel to a crawl. The storm delivered the first widespread snow of the season to the Northeast and New England. Philadelphia, New York, and Boston missed out on heavy snow, but much of the interior Northeast and New England saw between 6 to 12 inches of snow. Millions of people have been under winter weather alerts. The icy storm could intensify into a bomb cyclone if pressure continues to drop as it approaches the coast. This would result in stronger winds and intensified rain and snowfall. But what is a bomb cyclone? Why does it happen? And why are these big storms so feared? Let's dive right in. According to the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, a bomb cyclone occurs during the rapid intensification of a cyclone located between the tropics and the polar regions. It can happen when a cold air mass collides with a warm air mass, which is something that can occur over ocean waters. It can be tricky to determine if a cyclone can be classified as a bomb cyclone, but these cyclones largely occur due to a swift drop in pressure. Atmospheric pressure is measured in millibars by the National Weather Service. If a storm decreases 24 millibars or more in 24 hours or less, it can be considered a bomb cyclone. Bomb cyclones can occur in several parts of the world's oceans, including the Northwest Pacific and North Atlantic. The reason why these cyclones are so feared is because of the conditions they could bring. Heavy rainfall could lead to flash flooding. Power outages are expected, and the commute is also expected to be dangerous. These big storms could also significantly damage trees and infrastructure. The scary-sounding weather term became popular on social media in 2018, when a bomb cyclone brought snow to the southeast and winds that were close to hurricane force. Another bomb cyclone in 2022 brought extreme weather and bitter cold to much of the country. And now several states across northeastern US are facing a fresh threat of a bomb cyclone. What will be the extent of damage this big storm could cause? Now that remains to be seen. In the meantime, millions of people across the northeast prepare to brace for the upcoming snowy terror.
And now our final story. Japan is confronting a climate shock in its seas. First, it was mass oyster deaths in one of the country's most important marine regions. Now, it's a warning from conservation groups that another seafood staple, freshwater eel, is on the brink of collapse, with populations down over 90%. Warmer water temperatures, nearly 2 degrees above average, increased salinity from low rainfall and other environmental stresses are pushing these species to dangerous levels. Today, we look at how warming oceans, overfishing, and global demand are reshaping two of Asia's most iconic species.
Japan's top oyster-producing region is in trouble. Farmers along the Seto Inland Sea are reporting mass deaths. The area produces more than 75% of Japan's farmed oysters. In some pockets, almost all of their oysters have died. For many farmers, this dire situation is unheard of. Officials blame warmer seas. This year, coastal waters off Hiroshima were nearly 2 degrees hotter than the long-term average during peak cultivation months. Higher temperatures weaken oysters. They become more vulnerable to bacteria and viruses. Less rainfall in July also increased salinity, adding even more stress. Hiroshima's eastern waters reported mortality rates between 60 and 90%. Normally it stays between 30 and 50. Even strains bred to handle warmer waters have struggled. Those surviving are smaller, slower growing, and harder to sell. The UN says the rate of ocean warming has doubled since the early 90s. Sea surface temperatures have repeatedly hit records in the past 2 years. And this warming isn't only hitting oysters. Another pillar of Japan's seafood culture is now on the edge, and that is freshwater eels. They've survived since the age of dinosaurs. Yet today, several species have been extinct by more than 90%. Climate change, dams, habitat loss, pollution, and heavy demand all have been a key factor for pushing them into dangerous territory.
Eels are, as you say, an important part of the ecosystem. They're prey for certain species. They are, at certain points in their life cycle, they are a top predator.
Asian aquaculture depends on baby eels, known as elvers. They're flown in from around the world, raised to maturity, and served as unagi. The sushi industry runs on them. As numbers drop, their value has soared. In Maine, the only major elver fishery in the United States, baby eels have sold for more than $1,200 per pound. But the decline is uneven. American eels have fallen, but not as sharply as Japanese and European species. Conservation groups argue that this is the moment to tighten global controls.
The illegal trade and unsustainable trade in glass eels in particular just adds this significant threat to survival.
The Global Wildlife Treaty is now considering adding more than a dozen eel species to its protected list. That would force exporting countries to prove the trade is sustainable and legal.
The proposal that's on the table for next week or next 2 weeks is to extend the trade regulations to all other species of eels.
Not everyone agrees. Fishing groups and regulators in the US, Japan, and China argue this will hurt livelihoods and that national laws are enough. Japan is especially wary. Eel consumption there is tied deeply to culture.
Consumption of eel in Japan is sort of has a big tradition and a sort of very culturally important.
Stricter controls could affect supply, prices, and long-held food traditions. Yet experts say protecting a migratory species needs a global approach.
It doesn't matter if one country thinks it's doing great at managing its part of the population. All of them go back to the same place in the ocean to breed. And so it needs to be a coordinated effort.
At the heart of the debate is one simple question. Can the world keep eating eel at the pace it wants without pushing the species toward extinction? And if warming seas can wipe out 90% of oysters in one growing season, what happens next to the marine life we depend on? For farmers in Japan, the fear is already real. For the global sushi industry, it could be next.
That's it on Planet Pulse today. I am Gushin Gala, and we'll see you right back again next week. Until then, stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.
I rose from the army with medals on my chest. I spoke of freedom from colonial chains, but I tightened my own. I filled prisons with ghosts. Nearly 500,000 people were butchered under my rule, and I trusted only my paranoia. I gave myself grand titles. I claimed to be Africa's strongman. History calls me something else, the dictator. Who am I?